Hi folks, and welcome to the Green Bus Tour. It's a beautiful virtual day. In prepping for this day, I was given a tour of an amazing MRI facility here in London that's used to take images of the inside of the body to help with diagnostics. Let's see what they found. Oh, it's pretty clear what I've been totally thinking about lately, right? So, the bus is rolling and we're going to see some very interesting London points of interest as we make our way through the city towards our destinations to the east. The City of London is known as the Forest City and is a major hub for higher education, manufacturing, technology, and medical treatment and research. As our bus leaves the hotel, one of the first things you'll see are a couple of the city's major hospitals. Parkwood Institute, part of St. Joseph's Healthcare, has many specialized rehab programs and a veterans residence. Across the street, the London Health Sciences Centre is the leading trauma care hospital for southwestern Ontario, and combined with its University Hospital campus, is collectively one of Canada's largest acute care teaching hospitals. The complex also includes the Children's Hospital and the Regional Cancer Program. The London hospitals and their research institutes are world-renowned in many medical specialties and are affiliated with the Health Sciences Centre faculties at Western University. London is a prolific centre for medical research, and as our bus travels east of the downtown, we come across Banting House, now a National Historic Site and named the birthplace of insulin. It was the home of Dr. Frederick Banting. While preparing for his lectures to his medical students at Western University, awoke in the middle of the night and penned an idea about the pancreas that would lead to his discovery of insulin as a life-saving intervention for those with diabetes. For his discovery, in collaboration with Dr. MacLeod, was jointly awarded the Nobel Prize, and no doubt the seeds of research and discovery were planted here in London that continues fully alive today. And you might think it unique for someone to rise from London to global name recognition, but just blocks away from Banting House, we came across a high school, Central Secondary School, and you will be flabbergasted at the list of those who boast themselves as alumni. David Suzuki, geneticist and civil rights activist. Karen Baldwin, Miss Universe 1982. John Robarts, the 17th Premier of Ontario. Natalie Glebova, Miss Universe 2005. Luke McFarlane, actor in numerous Hallmark movies. David Peterson, the 20th Premier of Ontario. And Victor Garber, famous for his leading role in the movie Titanic. Not bad for one small school in London, right? Must have been something in the water. Just a short few blocks away, we come across a building that was the site where Thomas Carling founded Carling Breweries in 1843. Then, in 1914, the Ford Motor Company bought the property to add it to the locations where it made their famous Model T cars. The building is now occupied by Siskinds, a prominent law firm. As our bus continues east, we pass Canadian Forces Base London. That includes Wolseley Barracks, built in 1886 for D Company Infantry School Corps of the Royal Canadian Regiment. Wolseley Barracks is now home to the Royal Canadian Regiment Museum, with extensive displays of both the conflicts and peacekeeping missions where our service men and women have proudly served Canada with distinction. We'll now take the opportunity to visit one of London's very impressive private gardens. Enjoy!
Welcome to my garden. I'm so happy that you can all join me in the tour of my garden, and it's always wonderful for a gardener to have many people visit and give advice and get more information on it. This garden is 26 years in making, and initially it was one of each, one of this, one of that, and later on I tried to sort them and group them together as much as I could. There's a Royal Star Magnolia, the maple, and the dogwoods, and there is a Venus dogwood here that is wonderful down here. And so I try to put a lot of annuals out here, which loves the sun. I'd like to match up the reds and the blues and the greens together, and the light green ones, a chartreuse, I think it's called. And this is almost a white front yard. There is the white viburnum, white royal star, white dogwood, and there is a white daphne, and also the mock orange white over there. So they all seem to enjoy this beautiful front yard. I have some tree peonies as well here. They did very well. Unfortunately, they are gone now. And again, I have some hydrangeas. I think it's called the Preziosia, and it is beautiful. It's got emerald red and pink, and it is wonderful, gorgeous. And I do have my front pot, which I always use geraniums. They're the best around the front yard here. This is the most beautiful climbing rose, and it is at its prime right now. And this year, for some reason, whether it is COVID or whatever, they love the air, and they just are so beautiful here. We do have the white hydrangea, which doesn't belong to me, but I use it as my backdrop for my roses, and I grow a lot of dahlias down there. And the dahlias haven't come up yet, but they will. And I have the tiger eyes sumac, delphiniums over here, and I had the vigilia and the 9 bark, and the phlox, white phlox comes beautifully in the summer. So in the front yard, we do have the barberry as well, which I really love. I mean, they do extremely well in the sun, and they have a beautiful chartreuse color. That's the 9 bark I was talking about, and that is wonderful too. And I have a lot of cypress, which do well, and they have a lovely shape and not a lot of trimming to be done. This is my perennial bed, and I have the white fleece flower and the blue star, the hydrangeas, the penstemon, the phlox, the monada, and some roses down here, which do well, and the Japanese purus. This is my rose bed. Whatever I could just fit in, I would just put them in here. And we do have the viburnums in a row here, which bloom beautifully. And I have a lot of euonymus, which fits in this space and makes it neat and tidy. This is our backyard. And because we had a lot of ups and downs over here, we had these steps put in when we built the house. And slowly I started to put many different things, and it didn't work out. And finally the Alberta spruce on one side and the lace cap hydrangea on this side worked, and a lot of junipers to avoid erosion of the soil. This area is clay, it's wet, it's shade. Nothing grew, but then I did find things that would survive here. I tried different things. Somehow the boxwood works, the cedars work, and then again some of the mophead hydrangeas, and a lot of hostas, the huge, beautiful bluish tint hostas, with such large leaves, they do well. And the Annabella hydrangea and the monk's hood somehow took off. It's the Japanese weeping maple. Everything just fits in together. Every year I like to do my own pots. So what I do is I gather all my plants, my geraniums, my verbenas. So I do collect various plants, and there is some petunias, and then the mandevillas, the red geranium here, and the bacopas, and the New Guinea impatiens. They're trying to survive down there, and that way you get to fill in whatever you want. This one is the weeping cherry, ornamental cherry, beautiful cherry blossoms in the spring. Again, it's one of my other pots here with the canna lily and the New Guinea impatiens in them. This place again has got a lot of the Korean lilac, the cypress over here, and that one is the peach tree. It's a pygmy peach tree, but I saw few peaches this spring after the flowers, but they all dropped off, so I'm still learning about how to get them to keep the peach on the tree. There's a lot of oak leaf hydrangeas down there at the back. That's the hemlock down here, and I try to fit in some roses. And there are some hydrangeas, the irresistible one. Some lupins down here, and this is the prayer hosta, Shasta daisy. I got this bridge designed. This is designed by the Red Iron Design in London, I think they are. I drew something for him, and I wanted something like a Chinese bridge. This is the view up, and I always stand here to look at the beautiful hostas down here and the oak leaf hydrangea. And I like the blue, so I have the blue bridge down there. This is the back garden, and this is a shade garden. Initially, I did put a lot of shade plants, just researched into the various things to do them. And I do have the bloodroot, the snake root, the annabellas, the hostas, the ferns, the trout lily, and the ligularias. They are beautiful. And this is the weeping beech tree. And this is also one other plant which many people don't put in their gardens. It's called the bear's breeches. I have the brunera in the cypress on a standard. A lot of phlox here, few delphiniums. The dogwoods at the back, and this year they really bloomed well. I've never seen this stunning show. I love the barberry, and I love this color. These are the family of Persicaria. This one and those with the textured leaves. And this one as well is all Persicaria. We do have a bit of Crocosmia there, which is bright red in the summer. This is the darkest corner of the garden, and you see how the hostas really do well there. The huge leaves, they do great. Here we have the Vigilia, which finished blooming. Then we have the beauty bush as well, which finished blooming around here. Then there's the weeping maple and lots of hydrangeas, the limelight, the pink diamond, they're all out here. I do have a Tardiva hydrangea as well, I think somewhere. And this is the 9 bark. The oak leaf hydrangea is in bloom. And the different types of other hydrangeas. This is my favorite plant. This is called the mountain laurel. Not a lot of people are able to grow them in their gardens, but it somehow likes this space here. It's called the mountain laurel.
Continuing our journey through East London, we pass Fanshawe College. It started with 3 buildings in 1964, but today is one of Ontario's largest vocational colleges with 7 campuses and over 43,000 students each year in more than 200 degree, diploma, certificate, and apprenticeship programs. Our next stop is at Lee Valley Tools. It's a Canadian family-owned company started near Ottawa by Leonard Lee in 1978 and operates today in stores all across Canada. Members of the horticultural clubs love to get their hands on Lee Valley catalogs, and the company is a regular supporter of our horticultural conventions. Oh yeah, this is fun. like a kid in a candy shop, right? And their website is chock full of awesome ideas, articles, and videos, and expert tips and news on events, trade shows, and seminars. Oh, and great shopping. Let's check out some of their innovative products for the dedicated gardener. A garden trug makes a convenient way to raise vegetables without having to bend over to tend to the garden. This one comes with a spray unit to which a hose can be attached for easy watering. The potato pots let you plant your potatoes, allow them to grow, and then lift the interior pot to pick 1 or 2 potatoes before sliding it back into the pot to grow more. Brilliant! Lee Valley long sleeve leather rose gloves are great for taking care of my rose bushes, black-capped canes, and raspberry canes without getting stabbed. And I love my garden cart. I get to load up everything I need. Various rakes, a kneeling pad, leaf bag, my tarp, and various sized pruners in the pouch on the handle. One of my favorite tools is the ratcheted pruner that adds strength for cutting thicker stems and branches. If you're like me and have broken a few forks and shovels trying to dig out shrubs, you will like the round-handled shovel and fork. They have resin-encased steel shaft cores for 150-pound prying strength. I like the hand rakes to help me pick up large amounts of leaves or straw all at once. It makes the cleanup job so much faster and quicker. Well, folks, I know you'd like to stay here the rest of the day, but we have a few more stops to make. As we head out of London, our next stop will be Fanshawe Lake. It's a small man-made lake fed by the Thames River from the north and is separated from the river to the southwest by the Fanshawe Dam. The lake is a popular choice for boaters, and you can see many low-flying aircraft as they make their approach to London Airport. Fanshawe Lake is a popular rowing venue, hosting several regattas throughout the year. The lake is home to the London Training Centre for Canada's Women's National Rowing Team, the University of Western Ontario's rowing team, and Western Middlesex Rowing Club. The Fanshawe Lake Trail circumnavigates the lake. The path is known for providing scenic views of the lake from different vantage points. Those planes that you see passing overhead are making their approach to the London International Airport. It serves more than 500,000 passengers in a typical year, both domestic and international, including many charters to holiday destinations. From the airport, we're just a few farm fields away from our next stop at Heeman's Nursery, a leading berry farm and 3-time winner of the Best Garden Center Award. When you arrive, don't get distracted by all the pretty plants. I suggest you head outside to the back and go right to the Waterfall Hill Garden. Inspect this first, and then go shopping among the over 2,000 varieties of annuals, perennials, shrubs, and trees, including many Carolinian species. Heeman's uses biological control of insects, insect versus insect. If you see a bug hanging around, chances are it is just another faithful Heeman's employee, hard at work. Worker insects are carefully selected because they prey on specific greenhouse pests. Be sure to allow yourself time to check out the garden shops, and don't buy anything too big to fit on the bus. As the bus drives back into London, at the corner of Veterans Memorial Parkway and River Road, you'll see the Veterans Memorial Garden. Let's have a look. parkway itself is a work in progress. It began with 40 people from local landscape companies who volunteered to dig holes and place trees ready for planting. More than 1,000 trees were eventually planted, added by another 600 community volunteers, all pitching in to honor Canadian veterans and thank them for their service to all Canadians. The parkway starts at the south end of the highway with a 50,000-pound gate stone identifying this highway as Veterans Parkway, and continues with other massive rocks acknowledging the courage, valor, and fortitude of our veterans, and joined by the Freedom Stone, for that is what our veterans fought and continue to protect today. For that, we honor them. Our last stop of the day will underscore why we called this the Green Bus Tour. We'll take a tour of one of the top recycling facilities in North America. If you've ever wondered what happens with all of the curbside recycling items from around southwestern Ontario, have a look at this tour conducted by a couple of London high school students.
My name's Chris.
And I'm Emily. Welcome to the Recycling Center. The technical name for this place is the Regional Material Recovery Facility, or MRF for short.
Blue Box Recyclables come here from your community and many other municipalities in the area. This is a two-stream system. That means that your recyclables need to arrive here already sorted into two groups. Paper products for one sorting stream and containers for the second.
Throughout this tour, you'll see why that makes this one of the most high-tech and efficient facilities of its kind in all of North America. Come on, let's go check it out.
Just to keep our heads safe, we need to wear our helmets.
We also have eye protective gear and ear protective gear, as it will be quite noisy in there.
From this monitoring station, we can see that the recycling process here starts with trucks entering at the scale house.
Okay, come on in.
This is where we track all of the materials entering and leaving, by weight, type of materials, where it's from, and where it's going.
Notice the recycling truck is divided into two compartments to keep the paper and containers separated when they're collected. When the trucks arrive here, they unload your recyclables onto the tipping floor, which is also divided to keep the paper and container streams separate. The facility also has two processing lines that run through the whole facility.
In order to keep the streams separate, the two lines never meet. So that means if you mix paper and containers together in your blue box, well, that's a problem for us here because of the extra work and costs it creates.
So here we have a pile of paper, but let's take a closer look. You can see here that there's more than just paper in this pile. For instance, here's a water bottle. The system is designed to mechanically separate paper into different grades, such as cardboard and newsprint. It's not designed to separate things like plastic bottles from the paper stream, so this will have to be removed by hand.
In this case, the water bottle is recyclable, but it's just being placed in the wrong place. The more you look, the more you see things that don't belong. There's another water bottle. There's a juice carton.
And there's a detergent bottle, and here's an aluminum can. All sorting errors. And here, we have a pile that's sorted perfectly.
When you sort it right, it really does make a big difference.
So now we're coming into the container tipping floor.
Here we have a mix of plastic, glass, metals, and cartons. Here, we've got some sorting errors. And here, we have things that just don't belong in a blue box.
Having to sort through all these items that don't belong and then putting them into their correct streams costs a lot extra for us to manage. So here we are in the next phase, the pre-sort room next to the container line. We'll be following the container line throughout the tour, and later on we'll follow the paper line. This is where all of the initial sorting begins. So this is where we figure out the things that just don't belong.
When you put the wrong things in your blue box, like a frying pan for instance, it will get pulled off here. Or if you put recyclables in the wrong stream, the staff here will put them in the right stream. The other big job is to rip open the plastic bags and pull the recyclables out of the bags before they continue through the process.
From here, the items on the container line go through a series of machines that will separate the different material types. The first material to get sorted is the steel containers. That's done by the big rotating belt magnet. Here's how that works. The belt is magnetized, and as all of the containers travel under a powerful magnet, the steel containers get pulled up and stick to the rotating belt as it goes around. Everything else carries on past the magnet.
Now, when the steel containers reach this point, the belt is demagnetized and the steel cans drop down this chute onto a conveyor that transfers them over to the steel storage bunker. Once the bunker is full, the steel will be fed into a baler, then shipped in transport trucks to a steel manufacturer.
Next is the air classifier. It sorts materials by weight. The heavy stuff, like glass, drops down, and the lightweight stuff like plastics, aluminum cans, foil, and milk cartons, and juice boxes are blown up by an airstream.
The lightweight materials travel through the perforator and are punctured and flattened. This makes storage more efficient, and it also makes sorting easier because of the flattened materials won't roll around on the conveyors.
From here, the lightweight materials head to the optical sorter. This is the optical sorter. We program it to identify different types of plastic based on the chemical composition.
It's called an optical sorter because the infrared light sees and identifies each item as it travels under the light.
They really have some awesome technology here. The eye sends an electronic signal to turn on an air jet, which will blow the item in a desired direction. If it sees a number 1 plastic, a pop bottle for example, it will turn an air jet that blows it up. If it sees items made of number 3 or number 7 plastics, like a shampoo bottle or a yogurt tub, it'll turn on a different air jet that will blow the item down. The third direction, or the default, is for everything else. No air jet is turned on, and the items move forward and down by force of momentum and gravity into the middle direction to be sorted later down the line.
Notice how fast the conveyor belt is moving. That's crazy that it can do all of this going so fast.
So here we are in the container sort room, where we sort things like number 2 plastics, like detergent bottles, and polycoat containers, such as juice boxes and milk cartons. The reason these are called polycoat containers is because they consist of several different layers of materials, such as paper and plastic, and in the case of some juice boxes, a layer of aluminum on the inside.
These items are all sorted by hand. As well, the staff sorts out any item that may have been missed by another machine. If you look over there, there's a container of steel cans.
The last thing to be sorted from the container line are aluminum cans, and this is done by the aluminum separator, which we also call the eddy current.
The eddy current induces an electric current in the aluminum cans, and as they pass through a magnetic field, they are repelled in one direction while the remaining non-aluminum items move in a different direction.
Who would have known all these high-tech machines were in a recycling plant?
That's it for the container line. Now we'll move on to the paper line, which has fewer steps, making it easier to follow.
Here we are back in the pre-sort room, where staff are starting to sort through the paper line. The first thing that they do is they remove all non-paper recyclables and transfer them into the container line.
Here, plastic bags are ripped open and emptied onto the paper line, and then non-recyclables are put onto the residual line, which will go to the landfill. We'll come back to that later. The paper is then separated through a screening process. We have 2 large paper screens at this facility. The first one separates cardboard, and the second one separates boxboard and newsprint.
As the paper moves over the screens, the large pieces of paper float along the top and the smaller, lighter weight pieces drop down through the screens. See how the cardboard floats along the top of the screens? After being screened, the paper goes into the paper sort room where the final sorting is done manually.
Here is where the cardboard receives a final hand sort to ensure that it's a top-grade product.
Remember, when recycling cardboard, make sure to remove all non-cardboard material. For instance, with a tray like this, make sure to remove the plastic wrap. This simple step really helps us out.
Our goal is to produce a top-quality end product. And to do that, we need to produce bales full of recycles free of things that don't belong.
The cardboard is fed into the baler. Paper is either baled or compacted into transport trailers. The baler compacts and bundles with strong steel wires to be shipped off to the mills in Ontario and beyond. In fact, most of the materials stay pretty close to home in Ontario. Here is where all the bales of different product types are stored, waiting to be shipped.
The materials that we produce here are really top quality. And you at home, start the process when you take the time to sort it right. It really makes a difference, so thank you.
Here's a transport trailer filled with newsprint, ready to be shipped off to one of the paper mills in Ontario.
Our last stop is a residual line. This is the last chance to capture any recyclables that may have been missed throughout the sorting process.
We're proud of how much we recycle here. 99% of all recyclables that come into the facility are captured. That's the highest capture rate in all of Ontario, and quite possibly North America. Less than 3% of materials that come into this facility are sent to landfill. That includes things that just don't belong, like old toasters or even diapers.
Now, we're not just here to show you this new recycling facility. We are trying to show you that if you just take a little time to properly recycle, we can all benefit and can help clean up our environment. See you next time!
Well, folks, I hope you enjoyed our green bus tour. That's awesome. To wind down from our busy day today, I'm going to do some meditation, sitting out in a field amongst a bunch of alternative energy windmills. Makes me think of tulips. Whoa, power of positive thinking. Hope y'all have a Zen evening, and I'll see you on the next tour. OHA, OHA.